Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Riley here again, and I'm going to go over my trade from the day. So, I had a small red day. I played calls, QQQ calls, and had a small loss on the play. I lost 33 cents on the contract, or 8% on the contract. So, I was pretty happy with my risk management on the trade. But in hindsight, I think my analysis was okay. And I think this is just one of those trades where it could have worked. I put risk on the table, and it just didn't work in my favor. So that happens. It's part of trading, but I wouldn't say I'm like upset about this at all. I'm just kind of confused. I can't really find a reason why it didn't work, if that makes sense. But I mean, hopefully, I see something when we're going over it in this video. And hopefully, I learned something, and hopefully, you guys do too. So, what was my plan before entering? I was looking to play calls once we broke out of a 2-hour pennant on NQ to the upside using reactions at key levels above, like the top of a consolidation channel and pre market highs to read market sentiment. I was anticipating a break of this key level, the consolidation zone, that blue line there. I was anticipating a break of that key level if ES was able to rally above supply. And my target was daily supply above on NQ with the risk of reward to about 4-1. So go ahead and start with some market context. Okay, so you can already kind of see here we had a clear downtrend on ES and NQ that we broke out of earlier this week, and we've had a really, really strong rally all week. And we started basing yesterday, kind of had a little pullback, and now on both NQ and ES, we are tightening into like a flag pattern, and it looks like we still will be after today, maybe just a descending wedge. And it looks like ES actually ended up respecting this flag pretty well. But anyway, so I was looking. Let's zoom in a little. Well, actually, here, I'm going to show you this real quick, too. So we kind of had this just trend line. I don't know what you would call it. It's really just a channel that we're trading upwards in. But then we also kind of have this ascending wedge that we're tightening into. So this morning we kind of opened up like right underneath this ascending wedge upper trend line. And whenever I played calls, we were up on top of the trend line. So we had found new buyers above this trend line. So that was one confirmation that I had to go long. But we'll go ahead and zoom into the 5-minute. So, all pre-market. All pre-market. We're respecting this shorter time frame. I guess this is like a 2-hour, and I think you could also see it on 4-hour. But this wedge or pennant, whatever you want to call it, here you go. This is 2 hours, so you can see it pretty well there. It was tightening, and we kind of failed it right here to the downside. But we were respecting it very well in pre-market, kind of put in a high up here, and then sold off and found new buyers in demand. So there were buyers factored in down here, and I was looking for us. Well, I really wasn't sure which way it was going to go today, so I kind of waited for some market context to develop. And I knew this trade was kind of risky just because there's so many key levels up here and on ES as well. So let me go to the 5-minute over here, and I'll kind of show you why it wasn't like the highest quality setup, but I just felt like I needed to put risk on the table because the opportunity, it very well could have worked out. But you can see here that from the open, NQ rallied pretty hard and was already like rallied straight up, broke through this this weekly ascending wedge upper trend line. So we found new buyers on top of the ascending wedge. We broke through in this first 5-minute candle, kind of had Matt H in his videos, he talks about a rocket ship technique. So you kind of break through the level, come back down and test it, find new buyers, and then rally up higher. So we had buyers down here. So that was confirmation. And then what was I going to show you over here? Oh, yeah. So from the open, you can see that NQ rallied pretty hard. ES was not nearly as strong. Like we still had a long way to go to the upper trend line. So this shows, and we're making higher or lower highs over here. And I think we made a higher high over here. So, I was thinking, okay, this is already looking bullish. And we're relatively stronger over here. We're approaching the top upper trend line, and over here we're just hanging out down here, not really doing too much. So that was my other confirmation, or at least why I played calls on NQ, because we were relatively stronger. I traded on the 1 minute today just because I really wanted. Well, I was looking at the 5 minute and the 1 minute, but there were so many key levels that I was watching for reactions at that I was on the 1 minute most of the time. So I really don't have a problem with going down to the 1 minute, just if I need to be actively watching levels. But other than that, I'll trade 5 minute. So let's go ahead and look. I did the 400 calls, QQQ 400 calls, bought in at 938. So we rallied all the way up here, kind of formed demand on the way up. We broke above this weekly ascending wedge trend line, came back down, found new buyers, closed above. Bullish sign or bullish signal. And then also here we closed above our prior close, the prior day close. And then we kind of came back down and retested, but found buyers and closed above. So I was still confident here that we were bullish. And this kind of formed new demand too. So this demand zone ended up being my stop loss. So if we got below this this demand zone, I was going to stop out on a long play, because that shows that these buyers are not showing effort anymore and we're going to continue downward. But then after this candle, I wanted confirmation. I kind of wanted to pre-run it a little bit because I was unsure of it, so I wanted to be able to get out quick, if that makes sense. I wanted to buy it closer to my stop loss. So we were rallying up over here, kind of chopping around, but buyers were holding value up here. And I started seeing like kind of a downwards trend line forming. But the main thing was we were holding value and we bounced off VWAP, all that good stuff. Had lower wicks, and I was anticipating like an RBR here, which didn't really happen, but still, nevertheless, holding value. So as soon, let me see, what was it? 938. Okay, so as soon as this candle closed, the 937 candle closed, I bought like right here, because the reason I bought in was because I had I kind of looked for closes above my key levels to show bullish sentiment. If buyers are able to push us all the way above our prior close and yesterday's high of day, and we're able to maintain value up there, then it's a bullish sign that we're going to continue upwards, if that makes sense. I feel like sometimes I'm talking out of my ass, but I'm trying my best. But so I bought in right here. anticipating a break of this upper trend line. And then if we have this break followed by VVM, and I'm able to see that we're able to make it through these and this little bit of resistance here from pre-market. It was a pre-market high, or no, forget what that was. We had a bit of resistance there. I think it was from yesterday's pre-market high. Yeah, that's what it was. So yesterday's pre-market high was a bit of resistance. If we were able to get through, break out of this this pennant upper trend line and find new buyers, I was pretty confident that we would be able to break through all of that. It was ES that had all this supply above. So this is another reason why it likely didn't work out. It's important to find setups in which, both charts kind of respect each other. This would have been a much higher quality setup if we had these pennants or whatever forming right at pre-market highs and no supply above. That would have been perfect. And, buyers might have been able to push us through and we could have seen all-time highs, but that's just not the case. We had all this supply above, so we needed a lot of volume, and that's why I was confident with stopping out here, because we didn't really get the effort that we needed to push us higher. So the reason why I stayed in is because buyers were holding value at this point, but we just didn't show enough effort. But I did not stop out until I saw my stop loss get hit. Because I was basically just waiting for something to happen, which kind of sucks with time decay, but I was in 6 days till expiration, so no big deal. But as soon as we bought in, we closed below this level, but then we came back above, tested the upper trend line, but I was okay with, testing it as long as we could hold above this upper trend line. I was pretty confident that we could test this enough times if buyers kept showing effort. We would eventually make it through, and then, retail would chase the move and we could very well break through and hit my target of daily supply up here. So not really the highest quality setup because of all this supply and stuff. So lesson learned, but I managed my risk very well on this because I knew that there was a chance it wouldn't work out. So as soon as we rejected here, I saw us close below this level, and then, I saw us come below our prior close, with some increasing volume, and I was like, okay, yeah, easily stopping out here. So I stopped out right as the stop loss hit right here. And yep, that's so I lost 33 cents on the contract, and I was very happy with how I handled this trade. Most of my trades, if they're gonna work, scalper mentality, they're gonna happen very quickly. So I was like, yeah, this probably isn't gonna work out, but I put my risk on the table. I have a logical place to stop out at. I'm just gonna see what happens, as long as I don't get any crazy signals to sell, which I didn't really, until the candle that made me stop out. So overall, I think I handled this trade pretty well, but I definitely, if I'm ever going to trade something like this in the future, I'm always going to keep it small size, because the probability is a lot lower than if we had just pre-market highs and a key level here and then no supply above, and then over here if there was no supply above, or maybe like just a little bit more, but there's stacked supply. Pre-market highs are all the way up there. Yesterday's high of day is all the way up there. We had so many different things to get through that it just really didn't work out in our favor. So so what did I do well? I stayed calm. I stayed in a small losing position because though we were chopping around, we did not invalidate my thesis. I will only cut really quick if I'm winning, because I want to secure profits. But if I'm in a small losing position, as long as we haven't invalidated my thesis, I want to train myself to have the mental capital to stay in the trade. So I think it's very important to hold until you have a valid reason to sell. I had no valid reason to sell until we hit this or dropped below demand here. Um, so I also am happy that I pre-ran this breakout because it would have allowed me to capitalize more on the move. I also bought closer to my stop loss, so less risk. I got in with fewer confirmations and paid the price this time, but I put my risk on the table when I saw an opportunity and managed the risk well. And what can I improve on? This action was a little bit so I'm not unhappy with the results. I kept my risk tight and only took a small hit on this loss. Had it worked in my favor, I would have made about 4 times what I lost or more. It's all a game of chance, and we didn't have the volume to make it happen today, or whatever. One of the millions of factors just weren't in our favor. So that's all I got for this video. If you guys have any feedback, I'd be very happy to receive it. This is kind of just a confusing trade for me. Not really, happy or unhappy with it. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.